Off to a good start is this UCLA women's softball team, and a big reason why is our guest today. Jordan Woolery joining us on the Bruin Insider Show. For Nick Koop, I'm Bryan Fenley. Jordan, it is a pleasure to have you. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
One of the things that I appreciate from you is how much you place in terms of importance on being a role model for other people, not just your teammates, the Bruin community, but just about everybody you run into. How has that become such an important piece to what you're all about?
I think just being a woman in sports, but specifically a black woman in sports too, definitely has a lot of impact on what I want to do for the community outside just UCLA. I think being able to give lessons, doing camp, stuff like that really leads to greater impact beyond just the four letters too.
You're a great role model. You have your role between the lines in the batter's box, but I wonder whether it be on the bus, in the dugout, in the weight room, during practice, what is your role on this team beyond swinging a bat, fielding a ball?
Yeah, this year, especially as juniors, like our junior class kind of takes on the leadership role. So kind of bouncing off the other juniors like Tins and Megan and Lefty too. I feel like we all do a really good job of collaborating on the leadership effort. It's not so much just on me, but kind of all the junior class as a whole too.
It's not about you, but there is some ranking out there that makes it about you, which is kind of a cool thing. Softball America had you way up in the rankings as far as a first baseman. When you get those individual accolades, how do you stomach that?
Honestly, I try not to worry about it too much, just kind of focusing on the team. I would say I'm proud of myself and the work that I have put in this year. I feel like especially this summer and fall, I worked really hard. After last year, I kind of had a little bit of a slow year, so trying to produce as much as I can, especially for the pitching staff too, trying to do all I can offensively and defensively too.
What are some of those things you're doing in the offseason? Because you're off to a phenomenal start this season. If someone were to stumble upon you in the middle of the summer, in the fall, what would they have been seeing you doing heading into this year?
During summer, this was the first time I haven't played a softball since the beginning of me starting to play. So it was kind of nice to take a break, but also just focus on training too and not getting caught up in playing so much. So just like working out, giving lessons, and just kind of doing my thing. And then during fall, we're like in our B phase called building foundation. So just kind of building the strong foundation to take into season two.
How do you manage yourself during the season? You talked about what you're doing in between the season, but during the season, what does that look like?
I think this year, my third time around, I feel like I've gained a lot of experience of like knowing what's best for me and like what I do best. I think our mental performance coach, Dr. Mondo, he plays a big role in my success this year too. Just kind of focusing on the mental aspect as much as the physical aspect too is a big part of it.
Yeah, I'm always curious with softball because so far this season, you've been home, but you've been down in Orange County, you've been in Florida, you've been in Palm Springs, you're playing 2 games a day, 5 games in 3 days over the course of the weekend. Like, how do you maintain your bearings throughout all of that?
Yeah, it's honestly hard, I would say. Like, it's so many games this last weekend. We played 6 in 3 days, so it's like doubleheader after doubleheader. But I think in fall, we built our foundation really strong. We have a new strength coach this year, too, Coach Z, and she's been holding it down for us, like building us strong. But also, like, the coaches understand, too. Like, we had 2 off days this week, Sunday, and yesterday was off, too. So I think taking that time off to just focus on yourself mentally and physically, too.
If I may, you talked about the mental coach. There's the strength coach you mentioned, but also the mental coach. When you're over the plate, what does that mental coach want you to be talking to yourself about? What is that self-talk like? What are you saying, or what are you not saying in those moments?
I try and keep it really simple when I'm at the plate. I've been telling myself recently just over and over, I got this, I got this. I feel like the simpler the better, because a lot of times when I have too many thoughts in my head, that's kind of when I see more like failure, I would say. But the less thoughts I have, I feel like the more success I've been achieving too.
So you've already had 29 home runs in your Bruin career. I think I know the answer, but do you have a favorite one?
I would say probably my first one, which was the Grand Slam, which is kind of crazy. And then probably at the World Series, too. That was so iconic,
okay,
too.
last year. Yeah, that's one I thought you might go with. But a Grand Slam in your first
Yeah, it was
first
crazy.
One. Who was it against? What was the situation?
It was the first inning. It was against Alabama. I think we were down, too. Yeah, we were down. And honestly, it was 0-2 count, so I was just trying to honestly hit a sac fly, but it just happened, and it was crazy. I was so excited, and seeing the team at home plate was something I'll never forget, too.
So Jordan likes hitting bombs against Alabama. That's what I've learned.
Absolutely. Speaking of Jordan, she is joining us on the Bruin Insider Show. Jordan Woolery of UCLA softball with Nick Koop. I'm Bryan Fenley. So we know how much you can dominate at the plate. What I'm also curious to know is that what is the vibe like in the dugout during a game? If I'm sitting there with you and your teammates, what am I hearing? What conversations am I picking up? What's the energy around me?
The dugout is probably the best place to be in softball. I would say it's so fun. Like, we have parties every few innings, and it's just like someone's on the beat, like banging balls against the bench. And we're just kind of like rapping, honestly. So it's like a really good vibe in the dugout. And I would say if you're not in the dugout, it's like kind of the place you want to be, honestly.
What's your take on the season so far, what you guys have done? And obviously there's still a lot left in front of you, but what have you made of these first few weeks, this first month, really?
Yeah, I think we've built a lot of resilience in these first like 3 or 4 weeks. I would say we've had some tough games. We had a really tough schedule, but I think it's good for us, especially with all the new Bruins that we do have, like having them learn resilience and like strength and like building their Bruin armor too. I think it's important.
How do you feel like that strength and that resilience is going to play off or pay off when it comes to conference time?
Yeah, I think it'll be new for us for sure. Going into the Big Ten, it's going to be a new challenge and a new experience for all of us. So we're kind of all freshmen in this new Big Ten boat. But I think having the resilience build up in the first few weeks will play into, especially as we get on the road and have some long weeks in like different parts of the country too.
You also have a newer coach. I know she was there last year as a grad assistant, but now full-time, Bubba Nichols. To have someone who is playing at a high level so recently, what's that been like to learn from her?
It's really cool, honestly. Like seeing Bubs win AU and her being an Olympian too, of course, I feel like we're learning from the best, and she's just so cool, and she brings such a good energy into the dugout and to practice every single day too.
A recent teammate and somebody that you've played with is Maya Brady, and what does she bring as far as what you've learned from her over the years?
I feel like I've learned so much from her. I feel like this year I've been just trying to like embody everything she's done in the past 3 years or 2 years playing with her. So just having her as a leader and as a friend too, I feel like it makes such a big impact on me on and off the field too.
So I read that you played soccer, volleyball for a while growing up, even basketball in high school for a few years as well. Why did softball stick for you?
Honestly, it stuck because of the team environment. My first few years of playing softball, like when I was really little in rec ball, I wasn't very good, but so I'd bat last. But the girl who would hit first, like she would hit a home run, so I thought I was hitting a home run. So it's kind of like the team aspect of it too, but it was also so fun for me too, and just like cheering in the dugout. So I think it was really special from day one, honestly.
That little story, how has that helped fuel your competitive drive, your motivation to want to be great in this sport?
I think just my main focus is being a good teammate, but also working very hard too. I feel like those are two very controllable things. And I feel like if you don't do either one of those, it's going to be hard to achieve a lot of success too. So like playing into being a good teammate and like taking in the new Bruins and even the Bruins who have been here for a while, but also working hard outside the field and like in the classroom too.
I heard that you committed to UCLA in 8th grade. Is that correct?
Yeah.
All right, so at age 13 or 14, how was it so apparent to you then that this was the place you wanted to be?
The coaches, honestly, like from day one, I felt the family environment. And even when I stepped on campus, I just felt like I was at home, which is crazy to say, like at 13 years old. And I feel really lucky because it just worked out so well. And I love being here, and I just love being a Bruin, honestly.
In being a Bruin and being with such a prestigious program, there's so much history that is associated with UCLA softball. Because you committed so early, how aware and familiar were you at the time and even now towards what this program over the years has accomplished?
It was really cool. Right after I committed, in that next June, they won the Natty in 2019. So it was really cool to see like the winningness of the program, but also the tradition and like the legacy of just winning overall. Like they've won in every single decade. So I think it's really cool to see like the winning legacy and just like keeping that going, and hopefully win the next Natty this year too.
And legacy is a word you hear all the time in sports. I know you're just a junior and there's so much in front of you, but have you thought about what kind of legacy you want to leave here at UCLA at all?
I feel like this year is the first time I've actually thought about it. Like me and Coach I've had a lot of conversations in off season before coming into my junior year of like deciding what my legacy is going to be. But I feel like beyond softball and like all like the accolades I hope to potentially win, I think it's just being a good teammate and leaving an impact on the Bruins who are going to be behind me, and like hopefully the freshmen too. When they become juniors, they see what our class did this year and really embody that when they become leaders of the team too.
You're always evaluating yourself as a leader, but after games, how do you evaluate your play out there and learning from yourself when you're out there playing?
I think this year especially, I've learned that the outcome doesn't really define me. Last year, I think I got caught up in a lot of outcome. That's why I feel like I had a lot more ups and downs last year. But this year, knowing even if I hit the ball hard, that's a win for me. Like, I did all I could. Sometimes there's going to be someone right in the way of the ball, and that's okay. So not getting too much caught up in outcome, just worrying about the process. And, like, if I stuck to my plan that at bat or, like, whatever I was trying to do that specific at bat, like, focusing on that.
How did you get to that point mentally?
I think just after last year, I learned so much. It was so much worried about outcome. So just like learning from my mistakes last year and like taking what I thought my freshman year of just like kind of just vibes out there, no thoughts, no worries, into this year too, and but also with so much more experience and like more like stable mental approach too. I think that's more reason of my success too.
You've had so much success, and Jordan Woolery is with us, UCLA softball extraordinaire, on the Bruin Insider Show. To be able to play in the home confines that your team gets to, how does that bring out the best in your game, and how much do you enjoy playing there?
Easton Stadium's the best. I feel like our fans are so awesome, and there's so much good energy. A lot of our games are sold out, too, which I feel like is really, really cool to see. So I think just taking their energy and, like, them clapping after every single run we score, it's super special, and I feel like it just makes the moment so much better at Easton Stadium, too.
This isn't UCLA related, but I was just curious. So your high school, Clayton Valley in Concord, their mascot is the Ugly Eagles.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's up with that?
Honestly, it's kind of like an inside joke that you have to like go there to get. And like, it's funny because everyone just who goes there kind of buys into it. And like, even our jerseys, my senior year, they said ugly across the chest.
Just ugly.
Just ugly. So it's just kind of like, if you know type of thing, I feel like. But everyone who went there was like so down for it. Like, we always throw up the U and stuff like that too. So it's like, everyone's bought into it. Yeah.
Last one for me is being a Bruin is much different than being an Eagle. How would you differentiate what it means to be from your high school mascot or being part of a team that is named such, that nickname, to being a Bruin and all that encompasses?
I think just the legacy, like I said before, it's so special here. And, like, there's so many iconic Bruins, like, athletic-wise and academic-wise, too. So I feel like it's the best of both worlds, honestly. And I feel like I know once I'm done with my 4 years here, I'm going to have a lifelong career if I want to continue playing softball or if I want to go into the real world, too.
All right, so as we look forward to the rest of the season and conference play coming up next week, where do you think the team has done well? What have you liked? And where do you think you guys have room for improvement?
I think the freshmen are a big highlight of like what we've done well. Like, they've come in and made such an impact in the first 4 weeks already, so it's really special to see. And I think just what we could do a little bit better maybe is kind of just getting all on the same page through every single game. We've had some ups and downs, so I think just being a little bit consistent with our energy, no matter the score or the outcome too.
I thought the outcome of this conversation was at an all-time high. I'll tell you that for sure. Jordan Woolery joining us on the Bruin Insider Show, UCLA softball. Get out there and check out some of the games. What are you doing with your life? Get out there. For Nick Koop, I'm Bryan Fenley. Jordan, thanks so much for the conversation.
Thank you. I appreciate it.